Good morning, good afternoon, everyone, wherever you are in this world. Thank you for joining us today for our session, Creative Asia Rights Matter. We are very happy today to have some very exciting and very experienced speakers with us who will share their experience on how they have sold and traded rights during the pandemic and what kind of strategies they have for after the pandemic. We will also talk about new developments in the rights business. So thank you so much for being here with us today. Before I introduce the speakers to you, let me first thank our organizers. The Taipei Book Fair Foundation, together with the Taiwan Creative Content Agency, are the organizers of this event, and we're very thankful to them for making this possible. My name is Claudia Kaiser. I'm a vice president of the Frankfurt Book Fair, in charge of business development, especially in the Asian region. So here we go. As I said, thank you so much for being with us today. I would like to first introduce you to the speakers. Our first speaker is from Taiwan, and his name is Gray Tan. You will probably all know him. Gray is a literary agent with over 15 years of experience in the publishing industry. He's responsible for introducing numerous international bestsellers and international licensing works, including The Kite Runner, for instance, and Sapiens to the Chinese language markets, as well as licensing works by Asian authors to over 30 foreign markets. He's the managing director of TAICA's Books from Taiwan program. Gray, thank you so much for being here. Our next speaker is a woman, and it's Stratesti Yudha. She is from one of the biggest publishers in Indonesia, from Gramedia International. She started there 9 years ago as a junior editor, and currently she manages Marketing International as the foreign rights manager. Her responsibility is to manage the relationships of the publishers with the overseas publishers for business purposes. Gramedia International also acts as an agent for 7 publishers in the group, which belong to Gramedia Publishing. Yudha, thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you, Claudia.
Great to see you again. Akira Uchida joined us here from Japan. He's working with the Tohan Corporation and has been working mainly related to overseas work. He worked as a copyright agent in his section for 15 years, and he's in charge of the foreign books section, the selling of foreign books in Japan since 2017, and also works as a manager of the IP team, which is in charge of the IP platform this year, which is really exciting. It's called Japan Book Bank, and it's the largest Japanese publishing content catalog. So we're really interested to hear from you with this new development and what it's like. Thank you very much for taking the time to be with us today.
Thank you.
And this is the hardest name to pronounce, I must say, Kamalpat Tosinthiti. I'm not sure whether I did this right. I'm sorry for any mistakes. Kok. She started working at Silkworm Books in Thailand. She's joining us from Thailand after graduating with a degree in the French language and literature. Apart from the main business, she has an interest in the overall publishing industry, copyright, and reading promotion. She interned at the International Publishers Association in 2012 and served at the Publishers and Booksellers Association of Thailand as vice president during 2019 to August 2021. So she just finished her term. So thank you so much, Kamalpat, for being here today. Right, so this is our group of illustrious speakers. And since we don't have much time, we want to dive into their ocean of knowledge immediately. And I'd like also to understand a little bit more of your markets. So let's start with Gray, our speaker from Taiwan, who also represents the region from the organizer. So Please start, Gray. What is your experience in rights trading, and tell us a bit about your market? Thank you.
Thank you, Claudia. Hello, everyone. Very pleased to be here. I've been a literary agent since 2004, started my own company 12 years ago, and we're a team of 20 people representing over 200 foreign publishers and agents in China, Taiwan, Thailand, Indonesia, and Vietnam. And we also represent a select list of Asian authors, mostly Chinese language authors from China, Hong Kong, and Taiwan, but also authors from Japan and Korea as well in the international translation market. And some of our biggest successes include Wu Mingyi's, who is long listed for the International Booker Prize, and a Korean author, Cho Nam-ju's, Kim Ji-young, born in 1982, which we've sold in 28 countries. And we also organized the Taipei Rights Workshop Fellowship Program on behalf of the TAICA, Taiwan Creative Content Agency. I would love to speak a little bit about the Taiwan book market in the past year. There's good news and bad news. The good news is that we've had relatively very few COVID cases, and we have been able to live our life pretty much normal. The restaurants are open, theaters are open. We're able to go to bookstores, but as a result, reading books has not been a top priority during the time of anxiety and uncertainty. So the book market sector has not benefited much from the pandemic, the most best-selling books so far, I think last year, is the business books. A lot of people are interested in personal finance and investments. They're all buying. There was this booming stock market, both in Taiwan and the US. So a lot of people are buying. And 25% of the top 100 bestsellers from last year were business books, which is the very high percentage. And there's another interesting phenomenon is an explosion of podcasts, which is funny because usually people listen to podcasts on their commutes, but last year there was a lot of people work from home, so there shouldn't be that much time to listen to podcasts and commute. But for some reason, it was a lot of people are saying it was the first big year for podcasts, and there were thousands of new programs. And one of the biggest, most popular podcasts is about stock trade. And the host of the podcast published his first book this year and was immediately a #1 bestseller. And as a result, a lot of people are also talking about audiobooks. They're a lot of interest, but because the production costs for audiobooks are so high, and most publishers in Taiwan are mid to small size, I think there's a big barrier on money-wise, and there are not enough content, not enough titles to satisfy a much bigger audience. But there is definitely interest, and I think we're moving toward the right direction. Publishers are experimenting. There are new platforms who are investing in this part of business, and that is something I'm really excited about. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. That's really interesting. Yeah, audiobooks and podcasts are booming, obviously all over the world, but maybe not so much in Indonesia. But we'll hear about that in our next presentation. Yudha.
Okay, so I will share our current market in Indonesia. So we have 1,368 publishers and 1,200 bookstores and 61,477 libraries. And during the pandemic, the publishers in the Publisher Association, Indonesian Publisher Association, who renewed their membership is decreased about 50%. So not, we don't know the exact reason why they are not continuing their membership is because they are closing their business of publishers or publishing house, or they just not paying. We will try to find out later, because now we conduct some research about this. And this is the big publishers in Indonesia, Gramedia Group. Annually, they publish around 5,000 titles. And number 2 is Mizan Group. It's also a group of publishing houses. And Agromedia Group, then Republika, Tiga Serangkai, and Erlangga. And initially, they publish a specific theme and genre for their publishing house, but now most of them publish general. Everything they have, from Islamic book, Islam motivation, until children's novels, also non-fiction. And this is the bestseller book in Indonesia now. We mostly have like a novel, a fiction book, but we also have, this is the one with the orange cover. Maybe you know in English is like, Mark mentioned, the art of
giving a
giving a
the F word, yeah.
Yeah, and also some of self-improvement book also become best-selling now in Indonesia during this pandemic. So together with fiction, mostly is self-improvement, self-development, and self-help. This is the one we translated from Japan. Berani Tidak Disukai, Ichiro Kishimi and Fumitake Koga. And the number of book published in Indonesia, we have decreasing from 2017 until 2020. In 2017, we have around 15,000 titles, and then in 2018, we have 14,000 titles, and then in 2019, 13,000, and then in 2020, because of the pandemic, it's just 6,500 titles. But before the pandemic, it's already decreasing because the government, they stop our textbook in a hard copy, because they start to produce the textbook in digital version. So mostly the printed textbook is not continue again. It's now replacing with the digital one. And the market share in Indonesia is still children book, majority, 23%. And then fiction in the second place, 13%. And then religion and spirituality in 13%, and then 10% for textbook. And the rest is another genre. And the impact of the sales during this pandemic, this outbreak, and 58.2% publishers experienced more than 50% decrease in their sales than usual, and 29.6% publishers decline sales between 30 to 50%, and then 8.2% publishers experience a decline between 10 to 30%, and then 4.1% publishers relatively same sales condition as on normal day. And we also have a copyright violation during this pandemic. Actually, before pandemic, we also have, but during this pandemic, we found more copyright violation in Indonesia. They have mostly in marketplace, 54.2%, and then 25% they sell in PDF version, and then 20.8% we found in marketplace is a hard copy of the book and also the PDF file of the book. Marketplace, mostly like in the big marketplace like Shopee. Also, we have our big marketplace named Tokopedia here, and also another like Bukalapak we have, and GDID Lazada. And this is some illustration for you how they sell their illegal book. They will have a keyword like repro, non-ori, and they say like the quality is same as the original, and the price is very, very cheap. And they have a lot of stock. So if you are a bookstore, it's impossible like you have 1,000 stock for one title, but for the copyright violation owner, they will have a lot because they just need to print as many as you need, as many as you want. And here's some of the PDF version of the violation of copyrights. They sell like this. Also in package like this. It's very cheap. 25,000 rupiah is like $1, $150. Not more than $2 US dollar. Okay, so that's our book market in Indonesia. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yudha. Well, that's very sad to hear that the market has plummeted so much. I mean, that's huge. That's huge. So yeah, we'll look forward to hearing later what the publishers are doing, what kind of strategies they're developing in order to counter this trend and this trend. Well, thank you so much for sharing. Let's go to Akira Uchida and tell us a little bit about the Japan Book Bank and your experiences and your market.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Akira Uchida of Tohan Corporation. I'm from Tokyo, Japan. I've been working at Tohan Corporation over 25 years. And I mainly work at overseas division. Now I'm managing the international rights section and foreign book sales section and IP platform section. I mainly work at rights agent section for 15 years. I introduced Japanese publications copyrights to overseas and conclude more than 1,500 titles a year. And I also support with online Japanese catalogs, publishing titles catalog called Japan Book Bank. And I think we don't have that kind of online catalogs in Japan before. I would like to introduce you to Japan Book Bank by using my self-introduction. Let's see. First page is what is Japan Book Bank is. I'm going to skip this page because I already explained about that. Okay. And then, let's see. Okay. The second page is the top page of Japan Book Bank. You can search the titles you want by author's name and genre, or of course the titles, and many kinds of information here, right? And also you can see the monthly PCAP titles. This time, health and wellness titles. You can check the title if you click here. This one's a PDF, so I cannot click here. And then third page is a new arrival, introducing a latest title, new titles of Japanese titles. And of course, you can see the detailed information if you click each picture of the titles. Okay. See. And then last one is the detailed information of the titles. You can check the abstract, of course, and the author's information, the price and release date, and more information, detailed information about this title. You can also confirm the rights information. For example, this title already sold to Simplified Chinese and Korean edition. And if you become a member of Japan Book Bank, you can see the all rights information of the titles. And the member fee is completely free, so it's very useful for you if you are interested in buying the copyrights of Japanese titles. Okay. That's a very simple explanation of Japan Book Bank. Now I'm going to introduce about Japan Book Bank. This is the first slide of Japan Book Bank. What is Japan Book Bank is? Japan Book Bank is the largest Japanese publishing contents catalog. And actually, I already explained about the Japan Book Bank, so I'm going to skip this page.
Thank you very much.
It's okay. It's okay. I'm going to stop sharing. Okay. Oh, it's very difficult to keep going. Okay. Let's see.
So maybe you can just say a few words about the market.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna looking for my memos.
Yeah, just a few sentences.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So, right. So the pandemic also spread in Japan too, and then leaving a very big impact on the publishing market. However, I think it was not only a negative impact, but also a positive one. People have changed the way how they spend their leisure time in a pandemic environment. As a result, we have more time to spend with books more than before. In fact, Japanese publishing market of 2020 grew 4.8% compared with the previous year. That's interesting. And the sales of paper edition is down, decreased 1%. But sales of digital edition was 28.0%, increased, very large growth. So that's why totally 4.8% grew the market in Japan. But what was the most best-selling titles? It's Kimetsu no Yaiba. This is a comic. I don't remember the name. Have you heard of Kimetsu no Yaiba? Demon Slayer. Demon Slayer is the best-selling in Japan last year. So that's a comic. Yes. Thank you very much. That's all.
Thank you so much, Akira.
Yeah.
That was really interesting. You said that the Japanese market altogether grew by 4.8%. In Germany, we also had a very, very small growth, even though a loss was predicted. And we always have a statistic information prepared by the Publishers Association of Germany, and the 10 languages or most important languages to which German publishers sell rights is always there. And Japan never used to be a part of it, but since manga and comics are so popular, and the German publishers buy a lot of them as well nowadays. So
I'm gonna try to sell Japanese more titles. Yes. Right.
All right. Thank you so much. So let's go to our next female speaker, to Thailand. Come on, Pat. What is the situation in Thailand?
สวัสดีค่ะ I'm Kompas Tosinthiti from Silkworm Books. contrary to many of you, my company is very small and the market is very niche. We publish a Southeast Asian studies book, so it's meant for higher education. But anyway, in the past 2 years, I've been serving at the Publishers and Booksellers Association. So I have quite a wide picture of the book market of Thailand. Actually, what all three of you has been saying, it's also kind of the same phenomenon in Thailand. We have a population of around 70 million people. The market size in 2019, which is the pre-pandemic, it is around 540 million US dollar and around 120 million copies sold. It's already been decreasing from the previous years. As we know, there's people spend more time on other medias. But when the pandemic hit, it will surely decrease because we've been through a short lockdown on the first wave in 2020. Also, mostly book in Thailand, we publish original language around 70% and translated around 30%. So translated book is still not the majority of the market. So what happened in 2020 is after the pandemic hit, we had to shift from our normal physical fair to an online book fair within 3 weeks. We had to put everything because the book fair in Thailand is a super retail fair. It's not the right fair. So we had to shift that and try to build and get everyone as much as possible to be on the fair. The first time was very successful because people were very excited and we've just been like freshly locked down. But throughout the year, we've been around 1.5 month lockdown. So that created a very big impact to the bookstore. The book sale, the sale from the store has sharply decreased. But as you know, in Thailand and other part of Asia, the pandemic didn't hit us hard. After we opened up, everything was getting back to normal and economy was kind of catching up. So throughout the end of the year, the bookstore, I think on the 3rd or 4th quarter, they say the sales already matched the previous year. So that wasn't that scary. The book during the lockdown, the book that sold well, like in Taiwan, is definitely business and self-improvement, because I think people need to adjust a lot with the changes. So and people need to tackle with their business plan. And also one thing that I heard from another publisher friend, this friend published a lot of Kengo novel, which is a bit dark, but she said the one title that sell well, better than expected, is something that even though it's a novel, it provide a feel-good sensation. People are really seeking for something that will help them heal during this hard time. So they would prefer rather something darker. They would prefer something more cheerful, even it's a fiction, not something like a real self-help book. And yes, we also experience a lot of more podcasts. People have been listening to a lot of podcasts. But in terms of a general book market and the publishers in Thailand, is same as Indonesia, is that every year we lost around 25% of member. I think mostly because they just terminate their business or sometimes they just find it's not useful anymore to be in the association. We did receive some like 10% increase, but overall it's around 25% decrease. And the overall market with the in 2020, it decreased from 2019 around 25%. I think the economy did make a huge impact on it because, Thailand rely a lot on tourism. But the real scary thing is actually this year, 2021, we've been hit by the third or fourth wave. I don't even know anymore, starting from April. We also canceled our fair around like 10 days before. That day, we only have like 500 infected cases, but after that, it doesn't stop. And we had the highest is 20,000 plus cases. So it has been a very long wave, and we had to go through a lockdown in July and August this year. I think this is a disaster. Until the end of the year, I think it's the numbers not gonna be good. So I think overall for Thailand, I think this should be it for now.
Okay, thank you so much. That's also very sad to hear. Well, yeah, but I really do hope that things will pick up soon. Thank you so much, Kok. So let's talk a little bit about what was the rights. I mean, Gray, you already told us a little bit about what the rights business was like, but let's go in a bit more into details. What were your most challenges in 2020 and during all of this pandemic, and what are your hopes and strategies for the future?
Sure. I think the most challenging part is to find the right balance of how many emails you send, because I think everyone has been bombarded by all kinds of emails, and everyone has the Zoom fatigue that it's actually very easy to lose out among all the emails. Everyone is just buried hopelessly. And so on the one hand, we receive a lot of like new titles from our foreign clients, which we would hope to submit. But we also know that if we submit too much, they'll just be ignored because everyone is just distracted. They can't. So it's about finding that fine balance, and I think it's something we're still trying to figure out, like when to submit something, and like how many books to submit a week or a day, and not to too many people. I think that's the biggest challenge. And surprisingly enough, I find our Asian partners, they don't like Zoom meetings that much.
Really?
Especially for our Taiwanese and Chinese publishers, when we're trying to set up a meeting, they're like, we'll just do it by email. And we're like, fine, yeah, that's okay. So we're meeting mostly with our foreign clients, doing the Zoom and Google Meets and WebEx. And I think face-to-face cannot be replaced. That is still the best way to really get to know someone and to do business. So I'm really hoping that the physical book fair will be back sooner than later.
Yeah, thank you. And I would be interested to know, when you say the Chinese clients usually don't like to set up meetings, but is this true for all your Chinese clients, or more in the mainland than in Taiwan, or?
A bit of both. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I think the feeling is that email, phone calls are good enough. Mm-hmm. It's fine to do without the Zoom meetings.
Okay.
Yeah. I guess it probably has something to do with that we already know each other quite well, that it makes it easier to just do it by email compared to our friends in Europe and in the US.
Yeah, that's probably true. And that's also a lot of people say what they miss about the personal meetings. Some can be, the business can be done through other channels, but to meet new people, the serendipity is completely missing. So, you know, new business is hard to make. Okay, yeah. And Yudha, is Yudha here?
Yes, yes.
Ah, okay, there you are. What has been your experience when we talk about rights dealings and rights trade?
Yeah, okay. I can feel you, Gary, because I also experienced some publishers that we already know each other. They don't like Zoom. Yeah, it's true, very, very true. Sometimes we meet in a online book fair when they have their platform, and then we can set a meeting in their platform, online platform. It's okay to have a meeting via Zoom with them, but after that, if we like to invite them to have more meetings via Zoom, and then they just say, okay, let's just continue by email and no need to talk via Zoom anymore. So yeah, it's very true. And also for the strategy during this pandemic, because we don't attend or the fair also not have the ground fair, they only have online meetings. So yeah, we try to like apply and have a account in the online platform for the book fair. So it's easy for us to meet new people or just meet our old acquaintance or friends. So we just try to keep in touch because what else we can do during this pandemic. And we hope when we have the ground fair, the situation come back to normal, we can continue to meet again in person. So back to business like a normal, because it's hard for us just to like only have a meeting via Zoom or online platform. And then we don't know like how they feel or how their reaction during our explanation, or whether they like it or they not like it, or which book they want more to hear. We just have this barrier. It's hard because also the time is just limited. Like we need to have another meeting again, and then to show the book we only have like a PDF presentation, or if we have the hard copy book, we just like show them just like this, and they cannot touch it or feel it. So it's kind of hard for us, especially for the children's book or that book that we have a special print or color.
And have you sold more rights or less rights?
Actually, we don't have the numbers not very high different between before pandemic and the pandemic, but it's not as normal, but not that many. We still have a business in rights.
Okay. And buying rights, is that also the same?
No, buying rights is decreased a lot.
Okay. Yeah.
For buying, we just mostly we just continue printing that the book already have agreement before the pandemic, and then it's very limited number that we have a new agreement for the new title. Yeah, maybe if the book is the series, we already have the previous volume, maybe we continue, but if it's new, not.
Okay, yeah. And I want to check with Thailand. You've already told us about the market, about selling rights and buying rights. What was the situation? What is the situation? And how do you look? What is your outlook on the future?
Okay, so according to a lot of my colleagues, people still continue their activity on buying and selling rights, but it's the same problem like Yudha and Gray say. First of all, when they need to adjust their business plan, so they might delay a lot of buying rights. They've been publishing what they already acquired, but they delay something new. But for people who are still looking to buy something new, they did had a good use on these online platform. They said some people discover new things and buy rights from did get some deal from the platform. But yes, it has been distracted a lot. So it's easy for people just not to have time to go and look, or just concentrate and have a look. In terms of selling rights, as you know, Thai content, it doesn't have like a real good presence in the international market yet. So for people who've been selling rights, they say not being to meet face to face has impacted them a lot, because it's not, maybe their product is still not ready to just put online and attract people. They say they still need to meet, to present, to talk, and most of all, before going to a meeting, they have to prepare a lot of information and presentation to how to present their product. So mostly people still buy rights, especially people who already have contact with their previous agent or previous publisher. That is easy, but for new contact, it's a bit less. And yes, I agree with everyone. Meeting face to face is very important. Yeah. The online platform cannot replace what the real fair.
Yeah. Thank you. Since you're mentioning the online platforms, Akira, you told us about the Japan Book Bank and some of your very important work. As you know, Frankfurt Book Fair also runs a platform. It used to be called IPR Licenses, now Frankfurt Rights. We also have many titles on the platform. So what is your experience? How did it work? I mean, and Kamalpat just also told us that some people do check on these platforms and do buy rights through these platforms. What's your experience in terms of the business that's been done?
Okay, let's see. Japan Book Bank has just started. I don't have enough experience about that, because Japan Book Bank has started this March, and I also belongs to Frankfurt Book Fair Rights. I also raised 75 titles there, and I'm going to try to sell the Japanese titles through the Frankfurt Book Fair Rights. I think it's very hard to find the partners, and very hard to sell the right person, right place, or right company for selling the Japanese titles. It's very hard to find out. And I also I try to send them many messages, and then I try to figure out what they want, their request or their demand through the message, and I also send the email a lot. So I'm also looking for the better way for make a good relationship, find a good business through the platform. We just struggle to find out how to find a way of make a big success through the platform. I'm just struggling, Yeah. So I think web meeting is very useful, but it's very hard to preparing many things for set up the web meeting, because for introducing the Japanese title to overseas, we have to loads of thousands of informations and views, a lot of stuff, So it's very hard. I think it's easier for have a meeting, real meeting, face-to-face meeting is very much easier for me, I think. And I also need to friendly chat in the meeting, because if we have web meeting, we have to do lots of many things in the meeting. We have no time to chatting through the web meeting. So I think I need more chatting on the web meeting. It's just a big idea comes from the chatting, I think. So yeah, that's very hard. That's very hard to me right now. Yeah.
I guess that's why one of the most interesting places to go to in Frankfurt is the Hof. It's this hotel where everybody meets in the evenings, and lots of business ideas, lots of ideas for cooperation come from these conversations. And people you meet just on, while you're having a chat or a drink. Yeah. So Gray, are you using those platforms like Frankfurt Rights or Japan Book Bank?
I used Frankfurt Rights since last year, and I actually like it a lot. I think it's a very good way to exhibit your new titles. So for our Asian authors, I think we put 8 key titles on the platform last year, and it did lead to some new people. I mean, I think we probably received over 10 inquiries from people we don't know. None of them has resulted to actual deals so far. I think that's one of the reasons that face-to-face is so important, because you don't know these people. And all the deals we've done for those titles are the results from our existing networks. So I think that's the tricky part. It's a good way, but I mean, we can always direct the people we know to the website, because it features all the latest information. It's very easy for them to access the materials, for example.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think those platforms could also be good in increasing visibility. As Kompas said, there are not many authors or many books from the Thai language that have been translated into other languages, be it in Southeast Asia or abroad. I mean, Germany, even though German is a strong language, but we also buy much more from the States and from the UK than we sell to those countries. So it's really, really hard. So I know that it's a big effort that needs to be done. But Kompas, can you tell us a little bit about what segments do you think would be interesting for international cooperation from the Thai market?
I think what we can do, I think it's the children's book, and I think children's book is the one that hasn't been affected a lot. Especially, I think it's increased because kids spend time more at home, so parents need to find things for them to do. Like they say, there's increase in activity books. So I think children's book and comics, graphic novel can be like developed in especially with we can use the character to shift it or diversify into something else. So I think that part is very interesting to have an international cooperation, especially in this kind of fairs.
Okay.
Yeah, we might need to move a little bit to grow the content in papers to grow into something else.
But what if I'm interested to explore the Thai market, if I'm interested to see what kind of titles might be interesting for me to buy, because I have a friend who is a translator or something, how would I access the market? Where would I get information?
I think before we end our pullback term, we've been working over years. We are collaborating with the Thailand Creative Economy Agency, and they just agree to support us on an online platform. So we also gonna create a kind of like a website, a platform to present all the Thai stuff we have, either for kids, for grown-up, fiction, non-fiction. This is on progress. I think this will have something nice out of it.
Yes, that would be great.
We've already created an online book market that's supposed to be the biggest retail book market platform in Thailand, because we don't want to always put things in foreign marketplace like Shopee, Lazada. Otherwise, they'll have all the information. We try to create something that we can own, and we'll have the biggest database of the Thai publishers. And we try to make this also a platform that we can present something that is available for rights. Yes, some concept similar to the Japan Book Bank, which is more beautiful.
Yes, that's what it sounds like. Yeah, but it's really very, very necessary, because people don't really know where to look.
Yeah.
Yudha, the same.
And we know we've been very quiet in the market, secretive.
Yudha, I mean, the same is true for literature and books from Indonesia. Indonesia was the guest of honor at the Frankfurt Book Fair in 2015, the first Southeast Asian country to be the guest of honor. But still, we don't have that much content from Indonesia, and we don't see much content from Indonesia, either in Germany or anywhere else, or at least not in the Western countries. Where do you think there's a good room for cooperation?
Okay. So why you don't see many Indonesian books in the Western country? Because we have a lack of translation. Like we only have the book in Indonesian, so it's hard for you or for the foreign publisher to review. I guess it's the big problem for us, because to translate it's very expensive and not many publishers can afford it. So mostly our book is still in Indonesian, and maybe for some already translated into English, it's not fit with the market for the foreign publishers, or it's the content maybe is too Indonesian, or it's just not, it's like how you say it is, it's based on the taste, I guess. Maybe it's like we just need to meet the right person. That is the most difficult thing, to find the publisher that interested in a specific book, especially Indonesian book that tells the story about Indonesian culture, because mostly our fiction is about Indonesian, and it's so Indonesian. The content is about the culture, about our history, about the political situation, that maybe is not interesting for you or for the foreign publishers. And yeah, I guess the big problem is the translation and the content.
Yeah. Well, we saw that you have lots of great authors. That's what we definitely saw at the Frankfurt Book Fair. So hopefully we'll see more of that. And I mean, it's also always a problem of funding, right?
Yes.
So if a country wants their authors to be more present in foreign markets, then usually there has to be some translation funding programs that point into this direction. So hopefully we'll see more of that. Great. Just a few words about what is popular in Taiwan. You told us a little bit before that, but for international cooperation.
Right now, what's popular, we have a bestseller is the Frank Herbert's Dune saga, the 6 books. Because of the pandemic, the movie premiered in Taiwan a lot earlier than the US and in many countries. It premiered, I think, about 2 weeks ago. It's a huge box office success here. And the 6 books have never been published in full in Taiwan so far. I mean, the first book was published more than a half century ago, and this is the first time that all 6 books are released in Taiwan, and they're #1 on the bestseller list, which is very cool. I also want to speak a little bit about both the international cooperation and platform. We have this Books from Taiwan program, which we've learned a lot from New Books in German. And this has been supported by the Ministry of Culture since 2014 and is now being run by Taika. And we have this committee who would choose books, I think around 30, 40 in total, both adult books, children's books, and comics books every year. And we will prepare like really good professional English translation sample for them. And they're featured on our website. And we release like magazines semi-annually. And this website has been now running for 7 years, and it's been quite useful for a lot of foreign publishers or translators. And of course, there's also the translation grant. I think you really need all these components. You need someone to go out there to sell the rights, and you need English materials so everyone can read them. And then if someone is interested, you tell them that you can apply for the translation grant. You really need all the ammunition as much as you can to make a sale. And I think that a platform from this kind of support is very, very important.
Yeah, thank you. I think that is absolutely true. Let's quickly go to Japan. We know that you are very, very famous for mangas and comics, and we read them all over the world. Is there any other segment where you see more prospects for international cooperation?
Maybe that'll be children books, I think. Yeah, children books is more ability for feeling the pleasure to people or adults and children too. Actually, in Japan market, children books sell well in 2 years. So, and also comics books also selling well too. But I think this time I'm going to try to sell Japanese children books through Frankfurt Book Fair rights. We have so many children books there, and try to find out the new clients and trying to sell the copyrights of the children books. And also I think it's very easy for explaining. Children books have good pictures and simple stories, but deep meaning. And it's very easy to imagine the stories. It's easy for understanding how it looks and what kind of stories through the children books. And also many parents want to try to teach more good things or knowledge against their children, So children books are very suitable for that situation too, I think. So that's why.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much. Well, I think we are coming to the end of the session. Unfortunately, there's so much more that we could discuss, but I have one last question for each of you, which is, what do you expect from Frankfurt Book Fair and the Taipei International Book Exhibition in the future? Short answer, Gray.
I just want to say 2 words: physical book fair. I think that's it.
Yay! Come on, Pat.
So in addition to Gray, apart from physical book fair, is the meeting and the going out in the evening. I think that's also as important as the fair. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Okay. Yudha?
Okay, for me, if it's still in the platform for the Red Fair, maybe it's better if we can have a meeting one-on-one through the platform, because platform in the Frankfurt Fair. It's only us able to make appointment, but not scheduling a meeting directly in the platform. So it will be better. And also, I agree with Gray and Kompas. The offline fair is very important, and the chit chat time, the drinking time, the most important.
Okay, Akira.
Yes, me too. I want to meet a person directly, face to face, at the real book fair. That's a good point. Good point for keeping our business and collecting, gathering the new information and ideas from the chat. This is a very important point. I think I felt so, and yes, and also I want to go to a Frankfurt Book Fair, but I cannot this time. And my colleague will attend there. And also, Japan Book Bank has booth at the Japan booth, maybe a hall 6.0. Please check and visit there if you have time. Nobody attend there, right?
Well, I'm going to be there.
You're going to go there. Yeah, so please check instead of me. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yes. Thank you very much for being here with us today and sharing your knowledge, your experiences, your ideas with us. I wish we could meet in a few weeks in Frankfurt, but since we will not be able to do that, let's hope we can all get together at the Taipei International Book Exhibition early next year and have chit chats and drinks there and see new projects, put new projects on the way. I want to say one last word about literature and books from your region, from Thailand, from Indonesia, from Taiwan, and from Japan. I think in the West, there is a lot of talk about diversity. Societies value diversity highly. So I really hope that we can use this opportunity to have more translations from your part of the world, at least in Germany. Okay, thank you so much. I wish you all the very best and hope very much that the markets will improve soon.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.